Hello, everybody, and welcome in on this Wednesday morning, 11 o'clock on this great day. Hopefully, your morning is off to a great start. We are watching a couple of things this morning. Want to get you caught up on some of those top stories that are making headlines. And oh boy, has it been a busy morning here in Atlanta. This first story is our top story, and it is out of Northeast Atlanta, where unfortunately, residents, people who live there, have experienced this time and time again. We're talking about a situation that happened on the Cheshire Bridge, or Cheshire Bridge Road, I should say, because now it is back closed. This is after black smoke and flames we spotted were coming from underneath an overpass there overnight. So I wanted to show you some video of what we have that came out this morning. We've been on top of this story. Here you can just see some of that smoke, and you can see from Atlanta News First Chopper where that bridge is there closed off. That stretch of road there is closed off. Now, it's important to note, again, this is not the first time that Atlanta has seen something like this. Obviously, we've had multiple situations, and part of the challenge has been, according to police, where there are homeless people who are underneath this overpass. There's a pretty large homeless population that are doing whatever they can to stay warm. When we talk about the temperatures that we've been dealing with right now, and in the overnight hours in the 20s in some areas, you can imagine they are doing anything that they can to stay warm, right? Well, the problem with that is when those fires get out of control, which they often do, and they create a scene like this. So here is that video of Atlanta Fire dealing with the fire, and many who drive by the Cheshire Bridge know that it is a spot where there are many homeless people that they take refuge under that other overpass. And a battalion chief with Atlanta Fire tells us that it's still under investigation as far as how this happened, but they do believe that it could be the result of someone who is just trying to keep warm and started a fire in order to do that. Now, we are staying on top of this story because right now, since the Cheshire Bridge Road stretch that we've been showing you in this video is closed right now, you have to be able to work around that area if you go out there. So First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin has been tracking those traffic updates for us all throughout our morning newscast, and we'll have another update for you on this on Atlanta News First at noon. Also a story we're watching, former President Donald Trump seems to find himself in a bit of a pickle right now. This is after the top court in Colorado has decided that his name will not appear on the ballot in next year's presidential election. Now, that may be Colorado that's dealing with this situation, but that could have some impacts here on our election in Georgia. Atlanta News First Rebecca Schramm has more on how this could potentially impact us here at home.
This is all part of a legal effort that Democrats across the country have been coordinating. They're trying to disqualify former President Donald Trump and some of his key allies from running for office again. Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene was on social media quick to condemn the ruling. She wrote, "The Democrats and 4 Colorado judges just stole the election away from the people of Colorado and robbed them of their right to vote for President Trump." Remember, about a year ago, Greene herself faced allegations of violating a clause of the 14th Amendment. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger later accepted a judge's ruling saying Greene qualified to run for re-election and added that voters should decide if someone remains in office. We spoke with Eric Segal about what's happening with former President Trump. He is a constitutional law professor at Georgia State University, and here is what he said.
The reason I don't think Donald Trump should be disqualified is because whether or not he engaged in insurrection under the law is a cloudy issue. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. And I think reasonable people can disagree on that question. To disqualify the front runner of the Republican Party and a former president, we need certainty.
Also watching the Colorado case closely is Georgia Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. There is a separate case down in Butts County where they're trying to disqualify Jones for his role in the 2020 election, where he served as a quote-unquote alternate elector. That case is considered to be a long shot, but we'll keep an eye on what happens. At the state capitol, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
Rebecca Schramm always giving us some great insight there for things that we're staying on top of. Right now, officials are asking for your help in finding suspects that are accused of carjacking. Want to show you this car because it's important for you to be on the lookout for it if you can whenever you're out and about. We're told by police that a man left his car running while he went inside a convenience store near Snellville in Gwinnett County. But when he came back out from that convenience store, he tried to get into the car. And officials say one suspect pulled a gun on him. You're going to see that moment here in this video, which is actually quite disturbing when you see this actual picture of a man appearing to pull a gun on that victim whose the car belonged to. Well, both of those, here's that, you see it right here, that is the man who says he was carjacked. And again, we're looking at this video of what appears to be the suspect, putting a gun on him. So, officials say both suspects were able to get away in the car and they drove off. That car is a 2014 Jeep Compass and it has the license plate number P8RI0T1. So again, if you've seen this car, you're urged to call police. But just when you look at that picture, that's just awful. And especially during the holiday season where so many people are doing everything they can, last thing you want to do is be carjacked. But also I do think it's important to remind you that this person ran inside a convenience store and came back out to realize that that car was still running. It's so important that you don't leave your car running because it doesn't take long for something like this to happen. So just a reminder for you, as there are people who are out and about just waiting for an opportunity to steal something that you've worked hard for. Also, let's talk about Georgia Power because it is the season of giving, right? But I don't think people want to be given a higher bill. Well, that's about to happen right now because Georgia Power says that the state has given it the green light for 2 nuclear reactors to be built at a plant near Augusta. Well, the Georgia Public Service Commission approved a deal allowing Georgia Power to pass on $7 billion in construction costs to you, the customer. So here's what this means for you. Your power bill, you could probably see it go up an average of $9 a month. The change will begin in the spring when the 4th and final reactor begins commercial operation. So again, you could see that $9 increase. It may not seem like much, but on the right month, it can be, right? So just a heads up for you that again, that change will begin in the spring when that 4th and final reactor begins commercial operation. This next story is one that I'm just going to share on camera because I don't have the video element that I need. But you know what? You don't need a video element for something like that. Just listen to this and nothing else. And read what you see on the bottom of the screen because this is just wild. A man is accused of allegedly stealing more than $23,000 in cash while he was on a plane. The 52-year-old man was reportedly on a scoot flight from Vietnam to Singapore on December 16th. So this just happened some days ago. Well, the airline spokesperson says a passenger alerted the cabin crew about the suspected thief. If convicted of theft, he could face up to 3 years in jail. He may have to pay a hefty fine. He may have to do both. Bottom line is, somehow on a plane, he was able to get $23,000 in cash money. But I think it's also important to ask the question, why was anybody with $23,000 on a flight? That was the part that shocked me most about this story. Hey, let's take a live look for you here on this Wednesday morning. You can see that things are looking pretty nice out there. But when you step outside, oh boy, is it another cold one that we're dealing with. We know our First Alert weather team is looking forward to Christmas because you're likely trying to figure out what that forecast is going to be. There is a first alert for rain in the forecast. So that could impact some of your plans. But we're here to help you plan things out, to help you be prepared, whether you have family in town, whether you plan to be going out of town yourself. Is that going to impact your flights? We've got all of those details for you at 11:30 with First Alert meteorologist Ella Dorsey with weather where you are. But until then, remember the news always continues on AtlantaNewsFirst.com and the free Atlanta News First app. We'll see you for Atlanta News First at noon.